to today's English grammar class. Today we'll be looking at Transformation of Sentences Part 3, Module 1. In this we'll be dealing with the transformation of sentences which are pertaining to the simple, compound and complex sentences. Quick overview of what we are going to deal with in this particular module. In this module 1 of Transformation of Sentences Part 3, we will be looking at the rules that we have to remember and know before we start the transformation. So we'll be studying 4 such rules in detail. We will also be looking at the first set of sentences, that is simple to compound and vice versa. So we'll be looking at the examples and we also will be looking at the exercise for this particular set of sentences. So let's get started. So let us now look at the first point. Well, the first point is to remember what is a simple sentence. Well, to easily understand how to identify a simple sentence, you need to know that there has to be only one finite verb in a simple sentence. So, if you find a sentence in which there is only one finite verb, remember children, here I am not talking about the gerunds, the participles or the infinitives, as they form non-finite verbs. So, you have to remember that here we are talking about only one finite verb. So, any sentence with only one finite verb can be termed as a simple sentence. You must also know that a sentence with one finite verb can also be called as an independent clause. Okay. Now let us understand as to what is a compound sentence. So a compound sentence is a sentence with definitely two finite verbs. It could be more than that also, but it would necessarily have two finite verbs. You must know that these two finite verbs and the two sentences that are there in the compound sentence will be sentences of equal importance. So that means they can also be called as two independent clauses which are of equal importance. So one will not be more important than the other. They both will have equal importance and they will be joined by a coordinating conjunction. Moving on to the third sentence, that is a complex sentence. A complex sentence will also necessarily have two finite verbs. So there will necessarily be two clauses, but here lies the difference between a compound and a complex sentence, that as in the compound sentence both the clauses were of equal importance, in a complex sentence both the clauses are not of equal importance, because one is an independent clause and the other is a dependent clause. So one clause depends on the other clause. That's the major difference between a compound and a complex sentence. You must also note that in a complex sentence, the clauses are joined by a subordinating conjunction. So this is the first set of rules that you need to remember pertaining to the sentences. Let us look at the second point. Let us look at the second rule. This rule is based on non-finites. Now, as you know, the non-finite verbs are gerunds, participles and infinitives. Let us start with the gerunds. Now, the gerunds are also known as verbal nouns. That is, although they are verbs, they do the work of a noun. For example, the words like smiling, walking, that is, when an ing is added to the base form of a verb, we can form a gerund. So you have to remember that gerunds act as nouns in a sentence. So they can be either the subject in the sentence or an object in a sentence. For example, swimming is a good exercise. Now here we find that the word swimming is a gerund. Swimming is the non-finite verb here, and it is a gerund because here it is doing the work of the subject in this sentence. As you see, the finite verb here is. So swimming is not the finite verb, rather it is a non-finite verb as it is being used as a noun over here, as a subject over here. So we are calling it as a verbal noun or a gerund. So all gerunds are ing words which do the work of a noun. Moving ahead, let us look at participles. Now participles can be divided into two, that is the present participles and the past participles. The present participles are also formed by adding ing to the verb, to any verb, that is breaking, roaring, etc. But the difference between a gerund and a present participle is that while the gerund is a verbal noun, the present participle does the work of a verbal adjective. That is, here it is the verb which is doing the work of an adjective. For example, thinking fast, he ran to the train station. Now here the word thinking is kind of describing the adverb over here. So here we find that this ing word is not doing the work of a noun but more like an adjective. Hence, your thinking is the present participle. Moving to the next kind of participle, which is the past participle. So here again it does the work of a verbal adjective, and when we talk about past participles, they are majorly formed by adding the word en or sometimes even t. The example, broken by his words, he wept bitterly. Now, if we look at the finite verb, then the finite verb here is wept, and the non-finite verb here is the past participle broken. Let us look at the last non-finite verb, which is the infinitives. Now, an infinitive is formed when to is added to any verb, that is to walk, to sing, etc. Now, let us look at the example. They love to read. So, here to read is your infinitive, and what is your finite verb here? Correct, it's love. So we have brushed our memory about non-finite verbs, and I hope you have understood this small little revision of non-finite verbs. So let's move ahead with the next set of points that you have to remember. Third set of rules is how do we identify whether it is a compound sentence. Now for this, children, you can remember it easily when you remember the fanboys, that is the conjunctions for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. So mostly these are the very basic and the most commonly used ones, commonly used coordinating conjunctions which can be used for compound sentences. So these can help you to identify compound sentences better. These coordinating conjunctions can guide you through it. Moving on to the next set of rules. The next set of rules are regarding complex sentences. Now, when we talk about complex sentences are divided into three types, that is the noun clause, the adjective clause, and the adverb clause. And the commonly used conjunctions that join the noun clauses with the main clause are what and that. Then when we talk about adjective clauses, the commonly used conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions are which, who, that, which pertain to the adjective clause. And when we talk about the adverb clause, then the commonly used conjunctions are how, why, when, where, because, if, though, although, after, before, as soon as, and many such others. So these will help you to remember when we are changing the sentences from complex to some simple or compound, and all these four rules will guide you to change the sentences easily So now let us look at the first set of sentences and how to transform them. So the first set of sentences that we will be looking at is from simple to compound, that how we can convert or transform simple sentences into compound ones. The first thing that we have to remember is a simple sentence will have one finite verb and a compound sentence must have two finite verbs. So that means we will have to add on a finite verb to the given simple sentence to make it a compound sentence. So let us see how to do that. Let's look at the first example given here. Climbing up the tree, he plucked some mangoes. Now, although it is given here, let us think that or assume that we do not know what type of a sentence this is. How do we find whether the given sentence is simple? It is simply by checking the finite verbs. Now, how many finite verbs are there in the sentence? If you look at the sentence, we have plucked as the finite verb. So, since there is one finite verb, we can easily say that this is a simple sentence. So, when we want to convert it into the compound sentence, we will have to be careful and add one more verb. Now, the easiest way of adding a verb would be to see whether there is a non-finite verb and change it into a finite verb. For example, we already have a non-finite verb over here, climbing, which is a present participle. So, if we change the non-finite verb climbing into a finite verb, then we can easily write the answer. And remember, we also have to add a coordinating conjunction since it is a compound sentence. So, we can make climbing as climbed, and let's try to answer it then. He climbed up the tree and plucked some mangoes. So, here we do not change the meaning, neither we are changing the tense of the sentence, but we have retained the meaning and the tense and only changed the format from simple to compound. Here we have two finite verbs, climbed and plucked, and we also have the coordinating conjunction and. Let's look at the next set of examples. Driven by rain, he took shelter under the tree. So first we search for our finite verb, and here it is took. So we have to change it into compound. So let us see whether we have any other non-finite verb. Well, we have a non-finite verb, that is the past participle driven. So we can make it as was driven. So and add a conjunction. So the answer will be he was driven by rain and took shelter under a tree. Let's look at the third example. In spite of his poverty, he is happy. The finite verb here is. Now, how do we make it into a compound sentence? Simply by writing that he is poor but he is happy. So, in this manner, we can change simple sentences to compound sentence. So let us now look at the other way round, that is from compound to simple sentence. Here we have to remember that in a compound there will be two finite verbs necessarily, and when we change it and make it into a simple sentence, then we have to do away with one verb, one finite verb. Let's start with an example. He got up and walked away. Now in this example, we have two verbs, that is got and walked, and in this sentence we have the coordinating conjunction and when we change it into a simple sentence, then we have to do away with one of the verbs. Now one way of getting rid of a finite verb is changing it into a non-finite verb. So here the verb got has transformed or has been changed and made into getting up. So getting up, he walked away. So here in this it is a simple sentence as we have only one finite verb, which is walked. Let's look at the next pair of sentences. The pain was really bad, yet he refused to see a doctor. Here again, which are the two verbs? Finite verbs. First is was really and second is refused. So we have to remember that we have to do away with one particular finite verb. So we have was really and refused. And when we change it into a non-finite verb, we can write it as, despite the pain being really bad, he refused to see a doctor. Here was really has been made into being really. So being has become a non-finite thing and hence it has become a simple sentence. The third set is, he was feeling sick, so he went to the doctor. Feeling sick, he went to the doctor. Here again, was feeling, which is a finite verb, has been turned into feeling, which is a participle, a present participle. Let us move on to the next part. Let us look at an exercise on converting the simple sentences into compound sentences. First, being innocent, he never thought of running away. Answer: he was innocent, so he never thought of running away. Second, besides being thrown into jail, he was heavily fined. Answer: he was not only thrown into jail but also heavily fined. Third, the old man sat near the fire, smoking. Answer: the old man sat near the fire and smoked. Fourth, by his pleasant manner, the boy became popular. Answer: the boy had a pleasant manner, so he became popular. Fifth, she came here to see me. Answer: she came here and saw me. Sixth, in spite of his hard work, the boy didn't succeed. Answer: the boy worked hard but did not succeed. The seventh one, the teacher praised the boy for his diligence. Answer: the boy was diligent, so the teacher praised him. Eighth sentence, having finished their work for the day, the masons went home. Answer: the masons finished their work for the day, so they went home. Ninth, in spite of his popularity, he cannot be considered as a great writer. Answer: he is very popular, but he cannot be considered as a great writer. The last one, 10th one, to add to his misfortune, his father died. Answer: his father died and this added to his misfortune. So we have finished the exercise on simple to compound sentences. Let us look at the next exercise. Let's do the next exercise. Convert the following compound sentences into simple sentences. First, you must take your medicine, otherwise you cannot get well. Answer: you must take your medicine to get well. As you see here that we have made the simple sentence which has only one finite verb, that is must take. Moving on to the second sentence, the storm subsided and we continued our journey. Answer: the storm having subsided, we continued our journey. Third one, he is rich yet he is not happy. Answer: in spite of being rich, he is not happy. The fourth one, she will go to the office and she will do the work. Answer: she will go to the office to do the work. Fifth, he is not only a good writer but also an outstanding lecturer. Answer: besides being a good writer, He is also a good lecturer. Sixth, he was ill, but he came for rehearsal. Answer, in spite of being ill, he came for rehearsal. Seventh, he must run fast or he will not win the match. Answer, he must run fast to win the match. Eighth, you must work hard or you will be suspended. Answer, you must work hard to avoid suspension. Ninth, he was very happy and he started to dance. Answer, being very happy, he started to dance. The 10th one, the singer's voice is sweet and so she is very popular among people. Answer, the singer is very popular among the people for her sweet voice. We have come now to the end of this module, that is module 1 of transformation of sentences 3. So in this module we saw the different rules that we have to remember and know before we do the transformation of sentences. We also saw the transformation of sentences from simple to compound and compound to simple back. We saw the examples of how to do it, and then also we solved examples in the exercises. In the next video, we'll be doing the further part of the transformation of sentences, part 3. Till then, happy learning.